First pitch at 4 p.m. West Coast time. For Alabama State alumni in the Los Angeles area, you can catch the game live on ESPN Plus. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's celebrate.
Y'all did it!
Loving each other, needing each other.
Hey, Los Angeles, KBLA Talk 1580 is turning 5, and we're celebrating in a big way.
Oh my God!
Join us Friday, June 19th, Juneteenth, 4 to 7 p.m. at the Beehive for our 5th anniversary bash and Juneteenth celebration. We're talking surprise celebrity guests, a special presentation, and a major announcement you will not want to miss.
I can't wait to hear it.
Plus, live music, dancing, games, and enough food and drink to keep the party going.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Of course, you're welcome to bring your own picnic basket, blanket, and lawn chair. And the best part, it's completely free. But here's the thing. You've got to sign up in advance. Space is limited, so don't wait. Head to KBLA1580.com right now and lock in your spot. Friday, June 19th, the Beehive, KBLA Talk 1580. 5 years strong, and we're just getting started.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Yeah, man!
Jesse Jackson
Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA. Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's happening Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show with none other than our creator, Gina Towns. She will be with us in the second hour. But before I bring up our very special guest, I want to use this opportunity to opine on a historical moment in the history of the nation and the history of African Americans. On January 1st, 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation was issued. It came, as Martin Luther King Jr. called it, a long, dark night of the Negro's servitude from 1619 until January 1st, 1863. And 7 months to the day, in the middle of the American Civil War, and we know the details of the Emancipation Proclamation, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves in territories and in states where he had no control. They were under the control of the Democratic Party's Confederacy, and kept them in place in the states that chose to stay in the Union, where he did have control. But Lincoln's careful strategic thinking and advice understood this: that if at the very beginning of the Civil War, the war were about slavery, the states of Maryland and territories that surrounded the District of Columbia, like West Virginia, would have never joined the Union coalition because the issue of slavery was so pronounced within their own states that they accepted his argument that this must be a campaign to save the country, to save the Union, to not make it about slavery. But at the appropriate time during the war, once those states and territories committed themselves to Lincoln's agenda, at the appropriate time, recognizing that those in the North would understand the war would not end until the issue of slavery was resolved, they too then committed themselves to the idea of the emancipation of the Negro. That occurs in the middle of the Civil War on January 1st, 1863. But 7 months to the date, the very first July 4th, after the declaration of the Emancipation Proclamation, the Battle of Gettysburg took place, where the South, led largely by the Democratic Party and its politics in the South, would meet the Union Army on a field in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And whoever won the Battle of Gettysburg would get to define July 4th from July 4th, 1863 unto the present. The first 245 July 4ths, including the first 157 that were in slavery before the Declaration of Independence, that's 1619 to July 4th, 1776. 157 years had passed, and to the Negro slave, July 4th, from 1619 to 1776 was just another day. And then, of course, the Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776. And for the next 88 years, July 4th was just another day until the Battle of Gettysburg. And after the Gettysburg campaign and the Union had won the war, battle in Gettysburg, Lincoln would come back to Gettysburg in November of that year and essentially dedicate the battlefield to what had occurred between the 1st and the 3rd of July, making July 4th, 1863, unlike any other July 4th in the nation's history. It would define a new future. And it is at that moment that the freedmen became committed and loyal to the party of Abraham Lincoln and to Abraham Lincoln. Very, very important, because the road after Lincoln became far more treacherous, and the conquering of the Democratic Party became the goal of the abolitionist movements to which we won, and it would later lead to Barack Obama and Joe Biden. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. I've got a special guest today that I'd like to introduce. More when we come forward, right here.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's celebrate.
Y'all did it.
Loving each other, needing each other.
Hey, Los Angeles, KBLA Talk 1580 is turning 5, and we're celebrating in a big way.
Oh my God.
Join us Friday, June 19th, Juneteenth, 4 to 7 p.m. at the Beehive for our 5th anniversary bash and Juneteenth celebration. We're talking surprise celebrity guests, a special presentation, and a major announcement you will not want to miss.
I can't wait to hear it.
Plus, live music, dancing, games, and enough food and drink to keep the party going.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Of course, you're welcome to bring your own picnic basket, blanket, and lawn chair. And the best part, it's completely free. But here's the thing. You've got to sign up in advance. Space is limited, so don't wait. Head to KBLA1580.com right now and lock in your spot. Friday, June 19th, the Beehive, KBLA Talk 1580. 5 years strong, and we're just getting started.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Yeah, man.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot stomping, heart stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest in this hour is Anthony Collier. Anthony Collier is the elections director of the Harris County Democratic Party, the third largest county in the nation. He leads voter protection efforts, oversees the candidate filing process, recruits and trains poll watchers, and manages over 1,000 election workers who staff the polls. He previously served as the director of criminal justice for the National Urban League and as an aide to the late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, whom I had the great privilege of serving with for 17 years. Anthony graduated from the University of Texas School of Law in Austin, serving as the student body president of the 54th and the 54th chairman and CEO of the National Black Law Students Association. In addition to receiving his Juris Doctorate, Anthony studied law and economics at Cairo University in Egypt and graduated magna cum laude from Texas Southern University with the BA in political science. Mr. Collier, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Mr. Collier, let me ask you a question. As the director of the Harris County Democratic Party, the third largest county in the nation, you offer an insight into more than 3,000 similar directors in every county in the United States where there is a Democratic Party, who essentially performs the same function that I just outlined in your biography. Share with us what that function is, and in the present and current political climate, from your perspective, how difficult and challenging will it be for such a time as this?
It's a great question. So as elections director for Harris County Democratic Party, I oversee the entire elections process. And so every polling location has a presiding judge and then 6 to 10 clerks. These are the people who, when you come in, process your ballot and ensure that your vote counts. So it's over 1,000 election workers in the county the size of Harris County, which is larger than most states. But in addition to that, I oversee our voter protection team. So I have a team of about 5 attorneys, voter protection attorneys, in case we need to file an injunction to keep the polls open, in case any of our voters are experiencing voter suppression, we have to file a lawsuit, or in case we need to go and observe voter intimidation at a polling site. We also have poll watchers. So I had to recruit and train and organize over 50 poll monitors to go into these polls in case we see issues. And we have seen issues, like we've seen ICE at polling locations that we had to send attorneys to go and address, because we understand that even if someone is a citizen, ICE lately under the Trump administration has still been taking them up and detaining them and even deporting them. And so that has intimidated some of our brown brothers and sisters who are citizens who from exercising their right to vote. Or we've seen, Proud Boys or racist individuals go into predominantly Black areas to intimidate Black voters. Or we've seen Republican poll workers who will try to stop Democrats from voting, even though they're eligible to vote. And to your question about the current context, we just saw the Supreme Court essentially gut Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. And so this is Jim Crow 2.0. Section 2, for the readers who may not be familiar, is the reason why we have representation in Congress, but not only in Congress, why we have state representatives, why we have city council members. It protects what we call single member districts, because before Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, a lot of the times everyone was just elected at large. And so only wealthy white men were able to serve. But because of Section 2, we'll have, like, in your city, there might be a predominantly Black area. They get the vote on who represents them in city council. They get the vote on who represents them in the state legislature, and they get the vote on who is going to be their member of Congress. All of that is in jeopardy now because of Section 2. So we have to ensure that we get the vote out in November so that we can take back the House and the Senate and pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act so that we can enshrine Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and put a check on this road to the Supreme Court.
Mr. Collier, let me ask this question. There are approximately, I think I'm right on this number, 254 counties in the state of Texas.
Yes, sir.
So you're providing for us an insight into the infrastructure of the Democratic Party in a state that there is someone in every county who performs a similar function for you and for us in the county, in 250 counties across the state of Texas.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
There are more than 3,000, I believe 300, maybe 3,600 counties across the entire United States. And ideally within the Democratic Party, that means there's somewhere between 3,500 maybe and 3,600 individuals who perform your function in each of these counties within each of the 50 states to perform this very unique function in terms of the Democratic Party and its infrastructure itself.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Collier, what are your concerns about some of the rhetoric that you're hearing coming out of Washington with respect to federal encroachment, involvement, poll monitoring, ICE agents, or, if you will, the Department of Justice serving as an arm of the President of the United States without a civil rights division, I might add, and the possibility of those outside federal forces in a place like Texas seen as outside interference, not necessarily on behalf of the freedmen and freedwomen, but on behalf of Mr. Trump and his policies?
Well, the Trump administration and the Republican Party see the writing on the wall. They're seeing the historic turnout of Democrats in these primaries. They understand that they're at risk of losing the House and the Senate, and so they are prepared to cheat. Like, they're trying to set the stage. They're trying to already craft a narrative that will give them an excuse to come in and interfere in these elections, to intimidate voters so that they can stay in power, because they understand that there's going to be a day of reckoning come the midterm elections in November. I believe this nation is going to send a message to the Republican Party and to the Trump administration that they are not okay with all of this foolishness that they have been seeing. And so in anticipation of that, they're preparing to try to stop this from happening.
Now, right here on this radio show, and of course, right here on KBLA Talk 1580, a station owned by Tavis Smiley, where we host a number of progressive activists from all over the country. In fact, many from around the world as well, but specifically to the midterms and to the U.S. election. Again, 254 people in the Democratic Party in the state of Texas perform your function in each of the 254 counties. And of course, it makes sense for the Democratic National Committee and the Democratic Party to have someone performing your function in all 3,500 counties across the United States. On this station, more than any other station in the country, we have clearly referred to what we are looking at as Jim Crow 2.0. In that, we are in agreement. Jim Crow 1.0, as you know, had poll taxes, had at-large elections, it had intimidations, it had threats, it had lynchings, it had all of this fear around the polling place and around voting and around, if you will, our people who were seen as stepping out of line, talking too much, or trying to get people on the plantation or sharecropping to vote. I can only imagine that the new forms of Jim Crow that may present themselves, making your life and voters' lives even more complicated and more difficult, including but not limited to passports and voter ID, are going to greatly complicate elections going forward. Share with us how you are preparing, particularly as a lawyer and one who organizes lawyers for these purposes. How are you going to help protect the vote in the one county that you represent, and why all Democratic directors of the Democratic Party have to give reflection to your answer?
And you're absolutely right about the history of this. This is Jim Crow 2.0 is Jim Crow who has gone and graduated from law school. It's just as racist, but they're a lot more cunning and more sophisticated. They put a tie, they exchange their robes for suits and ties, right? And so, like this, for example, this latest Supreme Court ruling has essentially said that if the Republican Party wants to racially discriminate, all they have to do is say it's a partisan gerrymander and not a racial gerrymander, and then there's nothing we can do about it, which is ridiculous. But we've always seen the courts used to roll back, progress. And in some instances, it's worse now than before. Not the brutality of it, but the way to fight it. It's like the brother in Louisiana who was just drawn out of his seat. He said that if they tell me I have to run a certain distance, I can do that. If they tell me I have to a certain height, I can do that. But if they tell me I have to be white in order to be elected to Congress in Louisiana, there's nothing I can do about that. And so as far as how we're preparing for it, we have been proactively meeting with other leaders. We're planning meetings with lawyers from other, organizations to come together, and so that as soon as the legislative session convenes in January, if they try to pass the map, we can sue immediately. But also, it's not all going to be done in the court. Yes, Thurgood Marshall did do excellent work as a civil rights attorney, but it wasn't just that. It was leaders like the Reverend Jesse Jackson, leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and Medgar Evers, and some of the sisters who took it to the streets, who made their voice heard, who had to shift the court of public opinion and put pressure on these lawmakers to do the right thing. And that's what it's going to take now. It's never just done on one front. We have to fight on all fronts. We might have to put our marching shoes back on and get back in the streets like our parents and our grandparents did to fight for what's rightfully ours.
Mr. Director, let me, first of all, I appreciate that answer. And there's nothing that you've said today that I haven't argued on the radio show or that I disagree with. I agree with everything you've said. So let me ask this question. Have the more than 3,000 directors of county Democratic parties come together on any kind of communication that lets them share notes on what we could be looking at in the general election? And I know I'm asking this question about the general election because all 3,000 counties vote on the same day in the general election to determine the outcome of not only the national, but many state legislatures as well. But it appears to me that once Donald Trump, for example, sent ICE into California, we had a good idea of what was coming to Chicago by the time it got here. And then DC got a good feel for it. And then New York got a good feel for it. And then the threats to Philadelphia and other municipalities around the country got a good feel for it. I'm trying to glean some insight from you on what you have experienced that other counties who are listening and paying attention to elections in the primary processes that have already taken place. In what ways have they shown their hands in the present that draws your concern as we play leapfrog with the information? What are you passing on to other county directors should they call you and make the inquiry?
That's an excellent question, and it's a great idea too. Now, short answer is, from my understanding, we haven't been coordinated nationally, but we absolutely should. But I will say this: under the leadership of the current chair of the Harris County Democratic Party, she has been in contact with the other party chairs in the state of Texas, so that we're all on one accord. And from my understanding, that's the first time I've seen that done. So she has been doing that on the state level, which is brilliant. But you're right, we got to take the show on the road and do this on a national level so that we can all be on one accord. And there are some things going on in Texas that other states should be aware of. We're not getting the brutality of it because Texas is technically a red state, is really a non-voting state. If everybody got out to vote, Texas will flip. And I think Tallarico has a great chance of beating Paxton in the general election for the U.S. Senate. But that's another story. But as far as what we've seen here, people should look out for, in Dallas County, where Jasmine Crockett is based, and she was running for the U.S. Senate against Tallarico, and in Williamson County, where Tallarico lives, we've seen we've seen them strip countywide voting and cause mass confusion. But we could talk more about that. I guess in a second.
Come forward. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We're getting the insights of what's taking place in counties around the country from Anthony Collier, the director of the Harris County Democratic Party, the third largest county in the nation. More when we come forward right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says he's pleased after meeting with Pope Leo XIV in Vatican City.
I was able to say that, Chicago is strong.
Johnson says the Pope's first question was, how's Chicago? The mayor also invited him to hold Mass in Grant Park next year while the two discussed slavery, immigration, war, and baseball. The Department of Homeland Security is threatening to pull federal customs officers from airports in sanctuary cities, including LAX. Secretary Markwayne Mullin says plans are being drawn up, but the idea is facing pushback. Black Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass says she doubts DHS will follow through. And Louisiana's new GOP favorite congressional map is heading to the governor's desk. Lawmakers passed the redrawn map after the Supreme Court voided the previous one. The new map eliminates one of the state's black majority congressional districts. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Head to Waba Grill weekdays after 3 p.m. for their $5 happy hour and try their new Chili Crisp dumplings. Bold, crunchy, and tossed in a fiery crisp paired with a premium Waba beverage drink like their authentic Thai tea. Get both for just $5 only at Waba Grill. It's for you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers are back in action tonight after a day off Thursday. They start a 3-game homestand tonight against Philadelphia. The Dodgers, 16 games over 500, have won 5 straight and are 12-2 since May 12th. They lead Arizona by 4.5 games in the NL West. For the first time since 2018, the NBA Western Conference Finals will have a Game 7. The San Antonio Spurs and Oklahoma City Thunder meet up tomorrow in OKC. The winner moves on to face the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals. At the moment, OKC is a 3.5-point favorite. 5 p.m. tip-off tomorrow on NBC. Tonight at 6, it's your Friday night sports fix. Out of bounds in prime time. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. You can hang out with us on the KBLA YouTube channel or hit us up at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the voice of reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction.
Backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee. Not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Zach Sokoloff is the only Democrat running for city controller. He is a lifelong Democrat and is endorsed by the California Democratic Party and LA County Democratic Party. Zach taught at Jordan High School in Watts and created a jobs training program to build career pathways for young people. He's fought for equity and justice and will continue that fight as city controller. Vote Democrat. Vote Zach Sokoloff for LA City Controller by June 2nd. Paid for by Zach Sokoloff for Controller 2026. Additional info available at ethics.lacity.gov.
Don't wait until election day to vote. You have several easy, convenient options to make your voice heard. Vote early at any of the official ballot drop boxes or vote in person. Visit plan.lavote.gov to learn more. Brought to you by the Los Angeles County Registrar.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. In the next hour, Reflectivity with Miss Gina Towns. We're having a family affair with Joy Wheatfall, Joya Melvin, and Dr. Earl Wheatfall, one of our very special guests, who is amazing professor and thinker who offers profound insights. We're going to have a generational conversation in the next hour. But in this hour, I'm particularly honored that Anthony Collier, director of the Harris County Democratic Party, the third largest county in the nation, is our very special guest. He previously served as the director of criminal justice for the National Urban League, was an assistant to Sheila Jackson Lee. He graduated from the University of Texas Law School in Austin, was the 54th chairman and CEO of the National Black Law Students Association, and is very active in securing and protecting the vote in the upcoming midterms and general elections. Mr. Collier, grateful for your service. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thankful to be back and honored. Thank you for having me.
Anthony, I was a member of the Democratic National Committee after my introduction to my father at the Democratic Convention in Atlanta, Georgia in 1988. And I served on the Democratic National Committee until 2012, including the 17 years that I served in the Congress of the United States. And I'm wondering, because when the DNC meets, all of the all of the state chairmen are there. So all 50 are usually represented, and maybe more, including the territories. But I don't ever think we've had a DNC meeting where more than 3,000 county directors showed up, which would be a mini convention, by the way, if 3,000 county directors showed up. People who are there where the rubber meets the road in terms of election security. I woke up this morning and I read the newspaper, and in the newspaper it said that the Secretary of Transportation, the Department of Homeland Security, and the President of the United States were coming up with some kind of scheme to deny large municipalities like Chicago, I assume Philadelphia, maybe New York, maybe Houston, maybe Dallas, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and other cities that have international airports, to deny international airport access to those cities until such time as they change their sanctuary policies. And all of this is occurring in the context of the midterm elections and maybe even the general election. I can only imagine that by cutting immigrants, who are here legally, as well as Americans who are here legally, who come from different parts of the country, who have family members abroad, that they will suddenly lose access to them, and the fear that that will engender to those communities that might have serious opposition to the way in which the administration and the government is presently functioning, that it would discourage them from a confrontation at the polling place, which is normally a non-violent civic responsibility that we take when we go and vote. It just seems that shutting down international travel in these communities, disconnecting us from the global economy and global access, it too is a form of Jim Crow 2.0 in a scale and in a way that we have never seen before. I can only imagine that this issue also complicates what the county directors are going to experience as well. Every airport in the nation is in a county somewhere. Mr. Director?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think your instincts are correct. It would be great if all of the election directors or directors of the many counties would convene. I think that the DNC could use visionary leadership like yours to implement some of those ideas. I think that's a great idea. We do need to keep our head on the swivel, and we can't put anything past the Trump administration or the GOP, because they've shown that they will go through whatever lengths to amass and to maintain power to the detriment of the working class and the black community.
Mr. Collier, I recently ran for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District, an honor that I had for 17 years to serve. I was unsuccessful in my campaign. We did register 2,000 new people to vote, but my experience and some of the reading that I have been doing with respect to various articles that have been written is that the Democratic Party itself is not registering voters quite like it used to, certainly not during the era of Jesse Jackson or the era of Barack Obama. Have you experienced any uptick in voter registration, not just voter participation, but voter registration to offset any kind of negative for us?
I have not seen that on a national level.
MAGA in this. I'm sorry, Anthony.
I think I might have had a connectivity issue. Are you able to hear me and see me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay. So I haven't seen any massive efforts at voter registration on a national level or even on the state level. On the local level, we have been here in Houston and Harris County. We have been working to register voters, but we do need to put more emphasis on that. I think people are excited about the turnout. I think this was the first time in decades that the Democrats have amassed more votes than the Republicans in the U.S. Senate primary. And so, but we do need to take full advantage of this energy, not just rely on the turnout, but also register more people to vote so it can be more sustainable and a more long-lasting wave that we can ride.
And that's that really concerns me, because we have a lot of high-profile campaigns. For example, in Texas, Tellurico, we have a number of Democratic candidates who showed up, for example, at the National Action Network conference, who are certainly touting or kind of flirting with the idea of running for president of the United States. But I am not convinced at all that that there is a massive effort at voter registration that's taking place within the Democratic Party. In fact, I'm profoundly concerned about the absence of voter registration in the Democratic Party. And if Anthony Collier is one of 3,500 county directors of the Democratic Party, as central as Texas is to the nation's politics. Remember, it was Governor Abbott of Texas who sent immigrants to the city of New York, to Philadelphia, and to the city of Chicago. And he humanly trafficked people to these large municipalities. In the middle of the winter, we decided in the North to provide these men and women and families who would have perished in the freezing cold to do something Christian. Provide them with a Christian landing. It's called sanctuary. Have you ever been in a church sanctuary? The word comes from a divine commitment to other people, loving your neighbor and caring for your neighbor. These people were sent here by the governor of Florida, the governor of Texas, with full anticipation and expectation that when they came to Chicago, it would lay the predicate for this administration to send ICE agents, increase federal enforcement, or a weaponized Department of Justice in our major municipalities. And just as sure as I'm sitting here, without Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, the state of Pennsylvania is not Democratic. Without Chicago, the state of Illinois is not Democratic. Without Houston and Dallas, we don't have a chance. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, more with Anthony Collier, the head of the Harris County Democratic Party as its director. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk, but we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for healthcare, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelenos, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
Are you still pouring gallons and gallons of water into a thirsty lawn that never seems to get enough water? LADWP has a special offer for a free water-saving front yard refresh available to eligible LADWP residential customers. LADWP handles all the work, including lawn removal, installing an efficient irrigation system, and planting beautiful California-friendly plants. Save water and lower your bill with a free front yard refresh. See if you qualify at LADWP.com/LEAP. That's LADWP.com/LEAP.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to number 1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction.
Backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee. Not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Quincy Alexander Sr., who is watching the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show from San Antonio, Texas. Our number is 833-746-9555. In the next hour, I will be taking your calls. Lynette Purple Angel Alexander. The number is 833-746-9555. I would love to hear from you. And hey, bang, bang, Reverend Dr. David Wayne Posley, 833-746-9555. Esther, real ICEA kids. Hey there. Esther and Tracy Van Zant and Daniel, the Honorable Daniel Honor Mode. Please call into the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We're testing our technology today, but in this hour, our very special guest is Anthony Collier. He is the elections director of the Harris County Democratic Party, the third largest county in the nation. And I'm so grateful that he's spending this time with us because we are looking really analytically and forensically at what the Democratic Party at the county level is doing and how much these county directors of the Democratic Party are sharing information to confront what we could be confronting at the polls here in the United States of America. I'm very excited that Anthony is our very special guest. Anthony, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Anthony, I am concerned about the absence of voter registration in the party's focus. And it coincides with the idea that, the seat that is held by Jim Clyburn, Benny Thompson, the Stephen Cohen seat, which was the Harold Ford Sr. and Jr. seat, the 9th District of Texas. I am concerned about the seat in St. Louis and the state seats around the country that are being challenged by the right wing as Section 2 districts, and of course, aided and abetted by the Supreme Court, which is moving with all deliberate speed to redraw these districts in a way. I hope everyone's paying attention to this. Brown versus the Board of Education 2 was about desegregation of schools with all deliberate speed. We have never seen the desegregation of schools with all deliberate speed, but now we are looking at what all deliberate speed really means. Tear apart a congressional district, a state representative district, a state senatorial district, a dog catcher district, a school board district as quickly as humanly possible before or even while an election is taking place. That's what all deliberate speed means. It was just never applied to the schools. Anthony, the court, as a lawyer, you know what these double standards mean and what they represent. We haven't seen this kind of attack on African Americans and African American history, minority, Asians, and others since the end of First Reconstruction.
Absolutely. It's egregious and it's terrible. And some other seats, we just saw Congressman Al Green, who is the activist and a great man, was drawn out of his seat for daring to challenge Donald Trump, right? By filing articles of impeachment and by standing up and saying he didn't have a mandate to remove health care. And so Trump called up the Speaker of the Texas House and the governor and said, I want 5 Republican seats to go out of there. In addition to drawing Al Green out, they drew Jasmine Crockett out as well. This is why Congressman Al Green had to run against the new Congressman Christian Menifee and the new CDA team because they drew him out of CD9 and Menifee won and he's out. This is why Jasmine Crockett ran for U.S. Senate because they drew her out of her seat. So we just lost two members of the Black Caucus. One, a historic legend. The second, a rising star, a young a woman with a huge platform. And they're both gone because the Supreme Court is not checking this racism. And to your point about the double standards, when the Supreme, and I'm so excited about this, when the Supreme Court ruled on the Texas maps, right? Because we sued, of course, immediately to stop them from drawing these 5 Republican maps and drawing out Congressman Al Green and drawing out Jasmine Crockett. And we won in the lower court. The Supreme Court came in and reprimanded the lower court and said, you cannot make this big of a change this close to an election. And so we're not going to stop these maps because the election is 4 months away, right? But then in Louisiana, they ruled that they could do it during voting. They're not even trying to hide it. It's blatant corruption, hypocrisy, and racism.
No doubt about it. And I'm so grateful that I think there are 3,500 other county chairmen within the Democratic Party where our interests have vested since Gettysburg that matter to our future in the political party. We know that we are not in or of the party of Lincoln of yesteryear. We have worked hard to fight Dixie, to fight Dixiecrats, to regain control of the moral authority of this nation. African Americans have been central to that. In fact, Martin Luther King's Daddy King, was a Lincoln Republican. The founders of many of our fraternities and sororities at the turn of the last century were Lincoln Republicans because they had never experienced a July 4th quite like the July 4th that Gettysburg brought forward and the Emancipation Proclamation 7 months before that Abraham Lincoln had advanced. Out of loyalty to the then assassinated president, stopping the expansion of slavery into the Western states, and being loyal to ending the business of slavery in the United States, that is chattel slavery, we remain loyal to Lincoln. And then our march to slowly move Dixiecrats into the Republican Party, take over the Democratic Party, only to have the Democratic Party now being dismantled at its core and at its base, almost root and branch on the questions of civil and human rights. Anthony, we have about 2 minutes before we come forward for our next hour. We always ask our guests to give us, in the final 2 minutes, a word of hope. Anthony Collier, the director of the Harris County Democratic Party, a word of hope for the nation.
So for one, in the past, there has been a lot of stagnation and like despair as far as like, my vote doesn't matter. Why should I vote? Because both parties are corrupt. But we have to understand that if our vote wasn't sacred, they would not be fighting so hard to strip it from us. And we've come too far, right? We've seen people beaten and murdered, people who have died for us to have this right. And they won, right? They won, but the fight doesn't stop, right? We cannot take our foot off the gas. After we get a victory, we got to prepare for the next wave because the forces of darkness are not going to stop, so we can't stop either. Every generation has to take the mantle and has to stand and fight for our people. We can't just rest on the laurels of what Reverend Jesse Jackson did, or even what Congressman Jesse Jackson is doing. We have to get into the fight as well. We have to support our leaders and our elders and be on a united front. And we can win. We've done it before. We beat Jim Crow in the past. We're going to beat Jim Crow again, but we have to fight.
Anthony, I'm so grateful that you spent time with us this hour on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I wish you the best of luck in your efforts to help strengthen our democracy, to save the republic. And I look forward to your return to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, sir. I'm
Jesse Jackson Jr. More with the Wheatfall family. 833-746-9555. 833-746-9555. I'm also looking forward to Gina Towns, the director and creator of our program, as well as your calls. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says he's pleased after meeting with Pope Leo XIV in Vatican City.
I was able to say that, Chicago is strong.
Johnson says the Pope's first question was, how's Chicago? The mayor also invited him to hold Mass in Grant Park next year while the two discussed slavery, immigration, war, and baseball. The Department of Homeland Security is threatening to pull federal customs officers from airports in sanctuary cities, including LAX. Secretary Markwayne Mullin says plans are being drawn up, but the idea is facing pushback. Black Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass says she doubts DHS will follow through. And Louisiana's new GOP favorite congressional map is heading to the governor's desk. Lawmakers passed the redrawn map after the Supreme Court voided the previous one. The new map eliminates one of the state's black majority congressional districts. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Head to Waba Grill weekdays after 3 p.m. for their $5 happy hour and try their new Chili Crisp dumplings. Bold, crunchy, and tossed in a fiery crisp paired with a premium Waba beverage drink like their authentic Thai tea. Get both for just $5 only at Waba Grill. It's for you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers are back in action tonight after a day off Thursday. They start a 3-game homestand tonight against Philadelphia. The Dodgers, 16 games over 500, have won 5 straight and are 12-2 since May 12th. They lead Arizona by 4.5 games in the NL West. For the first time since 2018, the NBA Western Conference Finals will have a Game 7. The San Antonio Spurs and Oklahoma City Thunder meet up tomorrow in OKC. The winner moves on to face the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals. At the moment, OKC is a 3.5-point favorite. 5 p.m. tip-off tomorrow on NBC. Tonight at 6, it's your Friday night sports fix. Out of bounds in prime time. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. You can hang out with us on the KBLA YouTube channel or hit us up at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's celebrate.
Y'all did it!
Loving each other, needing each other.
Hey, Los Angeles, KBLA Talk 1580 is turning 5, and we're celebrating in a big way.
Oh my God!
Join us Friday, June 19th, Juneteenth, 4 to 7 p.m. at the Beehive for our 5th anniversary bash and Juneteenth celebration. We're talking surprise celebrity guests, a special presentation, and a major announcement you will not want to miss.
I can't wait to hear it.
Plus, live music, dancing, games, and enough food and drink to keep the party going.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Of course, you're welcome to bring your own picnic basket, blanket, and lawn chair. And the best part, it's completely free. But here's the thing. You've got to sign up in advance. Space is limited, so don't wait. Head to KBLA1580.com right now and lock in your spot. Friday, June 19th, the Beehive, KBLA Talk 1580. 5 years strong, and we're just getting started.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
Yeah, man.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. And our co-host in this hour is none other than the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. She calls the show Reflectivity. Today we have a family affair, a special on Fat Meat Fridays with Dr. Wheatfall, as well as his granddaughter, Joya Wheatfall, Joya Melvin. Dr. Wheatfall is a very close and dear friend of our family, and so grateful for his leadership over the years. He was a college professor and administrator. So grateful that he's here. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns.
Hey, Jesse. How are you today?
How are you?
I'm okay.
You had an amazing week. A lot of great guests, a lot of great shows. Did you have a favorite?
Some gardening. It's therapeutic for if you want to, dig.
Mhm. Do you have a favorite show this week?
I think they all were kind of a favorite. I really did enjoy Monday when Ernest Krim brought in a student of his from high school who graduated from college this year. I thought his conversation, his grasp of what's going on politically was very astute. I did enjoy that one, and I always love everybody. I love Barbara when she comes. Come on, folks.
Come on, folks.
Everybody.
Come on, folks.
We've got Wilmer and Todd, and then of course Atiba gave us. And his T-shirt, is always quite inviting.
Mm-hmm.
Midterms effing matter.
Yeah, they do. They do.
So I really did appreciate your opine.
And it's amazing. I appreciate that. It's amazing news this week.
Mm-hmm.
The NAACP boycott has begun. I'd love to hear Dr. Wheatfall's take on that, how it's being received by both his generation and his granddaughter's generation. I thought that was a fascinating show. Donald Trump's continual looting of the U.S. government and the Treasury of the United States, various schemes becoming all too more apparent, very discouraging. And his vitriolic campaign against E. Jean Carroll and many others just continues. We've never seen anything quite like that. The weaponization of the government itself under the leadership of the current administration. With that said, Gina, why don't we bring our guests forward? Dr. Wheatfall?
Hello, how you doing, Jesse?
How are you, sir? I'd love you to lower your camera a little bit so we can get you good and square.
Lower. Here
That's
we
it right there. That's right there. I want the whole world to see you. And hi, Joya. How are you?
Hi, how are you all doing?
Great. Welcome forward to Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. You are all over the country. I should share with you that we have gotten listeners from South Africa, San Antonio, Texas, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, obviously in Los Angeles, California, and the city of Chicago. So you are very much part of a national audience broadcasting live. Also on the 405, the 101, the 5, the 10, the 118, and the 110 in Los Angeles, California, which all of those highways seem to suggest the whole world kind of gathers there on the West Coast. Joya, welcome forward to the show. Dr. Wheatfall, you've been a regular contributor, and I'm so grateful that you're here. I know that we have about 3 minutes before we come forward. And Joya, just before we allow you the opportunity to participate, Dr. Wheatfall, can we start with your thoughts on the NAACP's idea that we need to look real closely at athletes in the South and move them away from their participation in some of these big Division I schools?
Yes, that is a very different kind of phenomenon because these big schools are controlling the NFL. As you know, we have very few students from our historical Black colleges who were selected into the pros, and we've got a number of outstanding athletes coming out of the South. But first, I want to express my family's condolences to your family because we hadn't talked since your father transitioned. So we want to express our sincere prayers and hope that we continue as strong families do during these times of stress.
I appreciate that very much. He loved him some Dr. Wheatfall. I want you to know that. He used to listen to the show and very much enjoyed your commentary. So thank you so much for that. I'll pass that on to my mother.
And I loved when he come to town because he would bring out all of the best of us.
Oh yeah, the Omegas, Guru for everybody, and
he had to. He made us come out and work, and I think Jesse, making a little twist here. This situation with the NAACP and with our current environment being so confusing and so devastating, until this is a wake-up call for us. We've got to come out and we've got to have the kind of leadership that's going to bring the grassroots all of us, because when milk is gas is $5 a gallon, milk is $5 a dozen, the eggs are $5 a dozen, and with the economy going like it's going, we have got to raise up and not stand for this. Every day, something is coming out new. Something is it's almost unbelievable that it's coming out like it's coming out. So we've got to make some. We've got to go back to the streets. We got to do something to make this administration recognize that we can no longer tolerate this kind of abuse.
I am very excited in this hour. I know that our time is up before we come forward, that we have a grandfather and a granddaughter, a generation within a family, to discuss many of these issues. So grateful that Joya is here with us. Gina, thank you for this wonderful show on Fat Meat Fridays. More when we come back on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's celebrate.
Y'all did it.
Loving each other, needing each other.
Hey, Los Angeles, KBLA Talk 1580 is turning 5, and we're celebrating in a big way.
Oh my God.
Join us Friday, June 19th, Juneteenth, 4 to 7 p.m. at the Beehive for our 5th anniversary bash and Juneteenth celebration. We're talking surprise celebrity guests, a special presentation, and a major announcement you will not want to miss.
I can't wait to hear it.
Plus, live music, dancing, games, and enough food and drink to keep the party going.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Of course, you're welcome to bring your own picnic basket, blanket, and lawn chair. And the best part, it's completely free. But here's the thing. You've got to sign up in advance. Space is limited, so don't wait. Head to KBLA1580.com right now and lock in your spot. Friday, June 19th, the Beehive, KBLA Talk 1580. 5 years strong, and we're just getting started.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
Yeah,
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
The joint will be jumping. Ebony Repertory Theater, in association with Big Street Films, brings you one of the most beloved musicals of all time. Tony Award winner, Ain't Misbehavin'. The soulful, swinging celebration of the music of Fats Waller. From the rollicking to the romantic, this show is pure magic, full of the songs that defined an era and the voices that'll make you forget everything else for a night. Foot stomping, heart stirring, unforgettable. Don't miss Ain't Misbehavin' at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center, starring Lettucey, directed by Ren T. Brown. This is the night out you've been waiting for. Tickets are going fast, so don't wait. Grab yours now at ebonyrep.org or call the box office today at 323-964-9766. Ebony Repertory Theater, bringing the culture, keeping the legacy alive.
Ain't Misbehavin' runs May 21st through June 8th at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Get your tickets now.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 Charlie Farley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 15 Hour. We're taking calls in this hour, 833-746-9555. That's 833-746-9555. It's a free call, toll-free call right here on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Gina, we're going to have an intergenerational conversation in this, our longest segment. Ms. Towns, a moment for reflectivity.
Well, reflecting, and certainly I thank Dr. Wheatfall for the comments that he's made. But I gotta ask you, Dr. Wheatfall, because you are one of those men for all seasons, and you have seen a lot. You've seen the transition, the fight, the struggle to get to the 2 decades where civil rights really were hard fought for. People lost their lives. And then you've also witnessed about 3 decades where affirmative action took hold. And, we now have your granddaughter and, of course, your daughter, who is along with me. And we reap the fruits of the work that has been done before us. And so what is your take? Like, how does it make you feel when you see this struggle at this point in your life?
At this point, it's a very difficult situation because the fight was so long in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s to get the rights and get them wiped away that we fought so hard for. And now with the stroke of the pen, they're being challenged. I think about the DEI situation. I think about when I went to college, I was probably in graduate school, I was at the University of Virginia, I was very few minority students were there. Now we are faced with this same thing coming back. It's overwhelming. Every day there's something coming up that attack the lives of people of color.
Yeah. So you do you have something else you want to say? I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. Go ahead.
Generational piece. Of course, you have a daughter.
Yes.
Obviously joyous.
Yes.
And so we are a generation who fought for and marched for in our own right Nelson Mandela to be freed. And we saw Jesse Jackson run for president. We saw things in particular viewpoint that all things were possible if you believe. And so it really is curious to me. And Joya, if before you answer this question, if you would introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are and where you've come from on your journey, that would be great, because it has to be very interesting to have grown up with President Obama, a mom and a grandfather and a grandmother who have been so progressive, who are so on top of everything, and to be grounded in such a background, and then to see what's going on right now. What is it that you see that you can share with us about what your generation thinks?
Right. I think it's important what Granddad said. Like when you were in college, you were experiencing those same hardships. And then now when I was at Spelman, I think it was maybe my sophomore year, is when affirmative action in colleges was overturned. So experiencing that firsthand at my HBCU was really just interesting. And just seeing how everything now, we're talking about the Voting Rights Act, all these different things are just crumbling. And then on top of it being in DC, seeing it, really living it, and then just being a part of it is a motion that a lot of young people, I'm not the one to speak for young people, but overall, how I feel, it's been kind of hard. just hard in terms of the economy and trying to live our lives and trying to find jobs. It's just a really crazy transition, but it's like we've lived through so many historical things. Gen Z has just been, a majority of our lives, we came in with Obama, but a majority has been Trump's administration. So just pushing through, I think, is one of the main things. And honestly, I think education is the best way. And I thank Granddad for honestly instilling that and having a family to instill that in me. That is one of the main mechanisms that will always be there in terms of lifting you up, or lifting Black people and all people up through these times.
Dr. Wheatfall, you obviously weren't here for the end of first Reconstruction, but I don't know anyone who's worked harder in the HBCU space. The context within which those institutions were founded at the end of first Reconstruction, the turn of the last century, the progress that was made after Brown versus the Board of Education. What kind of advice, given the nature of the struggle that your granddaughter spoke to, what kind of advice would you tell her and share with her of what we can expect in this period, if you will, of the end of second Reconstruction and Jim Crow 2.0? What can she expect?
Yeah, you can expect that it's going to be a long way forward. We've got to build in some kind of mechanisms of giving back. Those who've managed to make some level of progress economically, we're going to have to support our HBCUs as ever before. Our kids are going to have to mature a lot earlier now, because that's not a lag time. You got to get in and take yourself serious and get the job done. And I think we've come too far to go back. We cannot go back. We must move forward. We must help others to move forward. I'm just thinking now, what's going to happen to the financial assistance, student financial assistance? How is that going to be affected during these coming days? Because it appears to me everything that has anything to do with color is under attack. So we've got to belly up and come together more and work more to make our students the best. We got to perform even more now than before. There's not an easy way through this process. And I don't know how long it's going on. But right now, it's very uncomfortable for me. And I am kind of pleased that I'm not at that age. I'm kind of pleased that I'm past that point. I'm retired. So I'm excited to see my granddaughter take on education seriously. She went 4 years at Spelman and went straight into graduate school. I am so excited about her getting the job done and being prepared to get it done. And we've got to do that more with our youth, with our young children.
Gina?
Joya, first of all, you graduated a couple of weeks ago. Tell us where you graduated from and what you majored in. So we want to celebrate you in that. I think that's really important amidst everything that's going on. I want to be able to, and we want to be able to celebrate the accomplishments of your generation.
Yes. So I just graduated from Georgetown University, the McCourt School of Public Policy, where I received an MS in data science for public policy. It's super long degree, but I've been a data scientist by trade for ever since I was in Spelman. I had a professor who tried to get data scientists or Black girls to get more into the STEM space. And I had my first internship working with UVA, and then it just continued going down that track. But with that data science lens, I kind of focused it. There's different vessels of data science. You can be a data scientist for products and banks and stuff like that. But I'm more focused in the political space and the public policy space, and where evidence is a strong suit, and especially in the times right now, where evidence is being debased, we need more people to actually focus on research and creating a backbone for what is truth and what is not. But with that, again, on top of that, I'm also I was a technology and public policy scholar, so I'm specifically looking at AI in the criminal justice domain. So AI deployments across courts, correctional facilities, and police departments has been my course of study for the last 2 years. And I hope to extend that and keep on working in that space.
Awesome, Joy. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. We do have a caller, and we want to, I see you. I see you. Welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. What's your question for Dr. Wheatfall and his granddaughter, Joya? Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hi, how are you?
We're good, and we are looking forward to hearing from you.
Yes, I've noticed that everybody's feeling confident about voting in large numbers, but I can't help but think, being a child from Gen X, that the votes are controlled by computers. I really feel Kamala won, but Congress chose Trump. I'm just wondering whether we could vote as much as we could, but that the computers that they have now would choose whoever they wanted.
Wow.
I'll take the first shot at it. I mean, you know, we live in a system where the popular vote does not always win. In the last election, Donald Trump did receive the popular vote, and he also received the most electoral votes per state, which he had to get 270 to be president. Now, I was old enough, and many of us who are listening to this show were old enough to remember that Al Gore had the most popular votes, but he did not win enough states to get over 270. So this is as much an electoral contest as it is a popular vote contest. So in our system of democracy, at the founding of the nation, in order to protect rural interests like southern states where cotton and tobacco, they developed a system where, yes, people could vote, but the winner of the state's popular vote would win the state's electoral votes, and those numbers would count towards who the president of the United States would be. So it's not just enough, and I keep sharing this, Dr. Wheatfall, with candidates and people who come to our show and our program all the time, that not only are we losing congressional seats with the redistricting and drawing of African Americans out of Congress, but there is a corresponding electoral vote that goes into these absorbed Republican districts when a state decides it wants to only draw districts for the red, or when a state like Illinois says they only want to draw districts for the blue, or California, or any of these states. At the end of the day, if you don't have 270, you will not be president of the United States. Dr. Wheatfall?
In addition, these lines are being drawn along racial lines that will minimize Black participation.
Absolutely.
To reduce our level of participation. So they're drawn on a racial line. It's just straight racism that's being perpetrated through our electoral process. So we've got to come out in vast numbers and fight this redlining and this disproportionately reducing our effectiveness. It's been quite effective so far. So we're going to have to fight hard, and that's why I say that we've got to have the numbers as well as the electoral college to win. And so I'm really concerned that we are not making the impact that we should have made. I think we did in North Carolina just recently, but in other states we're gonna have to fight that every day to make that happen. And our organization, we have to support our organizations like the NAACP and other organizations. We're gonna have to support them and making sure that we have the fight on.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. A number of people are calling in. They are presently on hold on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, but we are at the 30. When we come forward, we'll take more calls on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. So grateful that Dr. Wheatfall and his granddaughter, Joya Melvin, are on the phone with us in this hour. More on KBLA Talk. It's Fat Meat Fridays and Reflectivity with Gina Towns when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
BIN News this hour. I'm Doug Davis. Happy Friday. Coming up, Dr. Karen Fields-Lever returns as we close out National Women's Health Month. She leads a multi-million-dollar dental practice in Chicago, but also serves financially challenged families with her mobile dentistry initiative that's changing lives and smiles. Stick around for part 2 of our conversation as we take a look at her partnership with the Steve and Marjorie Harvey Foundation and the importance of educating young girls about oral health. But first, here's BIN News Now.
The Florida House and Senate have passed the state's nearly $115 billion budget. Black State House Minority Leader Fentress Driscoll calls it inadequate, while Republicans say it's fiscally responsible.
There's not enough for affordable housing. You know, they mentioned that there's a pay raise for teachers, but they can only use it in certain ways and only for certain teachers.
Governor Ron DeSantis says he'll sign it after issuing vetoes, and lawmakers return Monday for a special session on property tax reform. A federal judge says President Trump cannot rename the Kennedy Center or close it for renovations for now. The judge ruled only Congress can change the center's name and temporarily block the planned 2-year closure. The lawsuit was brought by Black Ohio Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. And rapper and singer Tory Lanez legal
Head
team
to
is
Waba
filing
Grill
another
weekdays after 3 p.m. for their $5 happy hour and try their new Chili Crisp dumplings. Bold, crunchy, and tossed in a fiery crisp paired with a premium Waba beverage drink like their authentic Thai tea. Get both for just $5 only at Waba Grill. It's for you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers are back in action tonight after a day off Thursday. They start a 3-game homestand tonight against Philadelphia. The Dodgers, 16 games over 500, have won 5 straight and are 12-2 since May 12th. They lead Arizona by 4.5 games in the NL West. For the first time since 2018, the NBA Western Conference Finals will have a Game 7. The San Antonio Spurs and Oklahoma City Thunder meet up tomorrow in OKC. The winner moves on to face the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals. At the moment, OKC is a 3.5-point favorite. 5 p.m. tip-off tomorrow on NBC. Tonight at 6, it's your Friday night sports fix. Out of bounds in prime time. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. You can hang out with us on the KBLA YouTube channel or hit us up at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
My name is Cynthia Mitchell. I've been an emergency room nurse in Los Angeles County for 25 years. I've been there through every fire season, every outbreak, every earthquake. Every time Los Angeles needed us, the doctors and nurses of Los Angeles County showed up. And right now, I'm seeing another disaster coming. Trump's cuts to Los Angeles County's healthcare system are a public health crisis in the making. Medi-Cal, public hospitals, disaster preparedness are all at risk, but we can stop it. Measure ER fights back against these cuts. For a half a penny, we keep emergency rooms open, care within reach for working families, and doctors and nurses serving the communities we love. When you vote yes on Measure ER, you're not just voting for healthcare, you're voting for LA. Vote yes on Measure ER by June 2nd.
Ad paid for by Yes on ER, Restore Healthcare for Angelenos, sponsored by St. John's Community Health and Health Justice Action Fund. Ad committee top funder, St. John's Community Health.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for state superintendent of public instruction,
Backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for state superintendent.
ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. A place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at KBLA1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Fat Meat Fridays and Reflectivity with Gina Towns. Our very special guest are Dr. Wheatball and Joya Melvin, his granddaughter. Gina, I think we have a call on the live line.
We do. It's Marty King. Are you there, Marty? Marty is from Chicago. It's Martin Luther King.
Here.
You there, Marty?
Yes.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, Marty. You're live on the live line, Marty. The whole world is listening to you, my brother. How are you?
I'm good, Congressman. How are you?
Great, thank you. Do you have a question? Marty?
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I don't have a question, but I'd like to talk about what happened at Louisiana State Legislature yesterday,
Go ahead, Marty.
and that they got rid of one African American minority district.
Mm.
Can
Okay,
we discuss that for a moment?
we certainly can. Dr. Wheatfall, your thoughts on the systematic removal of African American representation at the congressional level?
Yeah, that is the impact, and that's just the beginning of this process. It's what they're doing. They want to spread it all over the United States of realigning, minimizing the impact of the African American vote. That is the result, and that is why we've got to contest it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think my granddaughter is able to create the data that drives these decisions. I shouldn't have liked to hear her expressions on how that data will impact on our voting patterns and our realigning of the and minimizing the impact of the Black vote.
Remapping, yes. Yeah, I mean, I think what's so great and probably a complete difference, we're talking about intergenerational things that granddad had before or didn't have before, but now we have now is this boom in technology and this boom in AI, which could be leveraged, I think could be leveraged in a better way instead of looking at how it could be a downfall. But thinking about TikTok and different social media outlets, I mean, there's so much information that is flowing now. I think it's a blessing and a curse, but I'm glad to see across my page, I know across other people's Gen Z's pages, we're seeing Memphis getting split into, we're seeing all these crazy, Memphis, Louisiana, we're seeing that. And I think it's interesting because not a lot of us, if you weren't a political science major, if you weren't really into that, nobody really understood gerrymandering, or we didn't really understand that. But now we're seeing it in our face. And I think that is what spurs us to continue to go vote and vote even harder. And I think thinking about it in a way that we can leverage it to help us. I think the what is it, half water, half full, half whatever it is. I think instead of pinpointing the different lack of equity in AI and emerging technologies, I think that's something that is concerning, but this could also be a strong suit.
Joya raises a really interesting point, and before I go to our next call, I want to clarify something that my dad shared with me. Dad, Dr. Wheatfall, and Joya said there's no such thing as a narrow Supreme Court decision. In 1896, when the separate and unequal doctrine was decided in Plessy versus Ferguson, the facts of the case were about transportation. Homer Plessy.
Yeah.
But the holding led to separate water fountains, separate movie theaters, separate accommodations. Y'all go through the back door of the hotel. You cannot eat in the lobby or use the restaurant. It led to a segregated society, separate but equal. And the facts of Brown versus the Board of Education wasn't about transportation. A transportation decision wasn't struck down. It was an education decision about desegregating schools. But the principle of the case was equal protection of the laws. And that began to tear down the vestiges of the separate but equal doctrine of Plessy versus Ferguson. I shared with and had a conversation with an eminent lawyer just the other day on our program, Joya and Dr. Wheatfall, that the decision in Louisiana case, while it focuses on representation at the congressional legislative level, it's a precedent-setting case. The principle of the case, which will be applied to everything, is this: that we can no longer come up with race-conscious remedies to race-based problems, which is why they get to go after Harvard, Yale, and every conceivable aspect of society in the name of the Louisiana case, that you can't have a race remedy to a historic race problem. That's what's so shocking to me. And there may be people who decide not to vote in the primaries or in the general election this year because they don't care about Democrats who aren't representing them, or members of the Black Caucus or Black legislatures who they don't think are help. No. The principle that we have to overturn now is to say that reparations are not legal for you, but they are legal for 1,800 people who ran through the Capitol. They can have it, but you can't have it.
Yeah.
That's the principle of Louisiana case. Dr. Wheatfall?
Yeah, but that is so unusual to have the whole idea of providing resources for people who attacked our own government. That's almost unbelievable. That is unbelievable. Now we're going to pay them back or reward them, and we got it on film. This is not hearsay or somebody reporting it. You can see it with your own eyes. And now we're going to repay them or reimburse them for their losses. This is a new time, Jesse, and we've got to come up with some ways, innovative ways, to address this situation, because it cannot continue as it is now. As you said, it's Plessy versus Ferguson. You're right. It was separate but equal, but it was separate but unequal.
Absolutely.
That was the impact of it.
Absolutely.
And until 1965. Yeah, go ahead. Please.
No, I was going to add to that, Granddad. Even listening to those hearings, like in Louisiana, and seeing how they have the facts, they have the data, they have, there's 38% Black voters, Black people living in this area. They have that. It's just the blatant ignorance, or the blatant and willing ignoring of those facts, of that data, that is ridiculous, but it also sheds light and inspiration, is that we need to have more people of color, more women of color, more women in general, a more diverse spread of people who are handling that backhand and know how to handle data. Because I believe truly, I mean, I'm just data, but I think data, when handled with care and context, can truly become a tool of liberation. I think that's been my mantra.
Yeah.
Moving on. And we're seeing how this is indoctrinating.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. When we come forward, we have a couple of more callers for Dr. Wheatfall and for Joy Melvin, his granddaughter, who we're particularly honored to have joining us in drive time on the 405, the 101, the 5, the 10, the 118, and the 110 in Los Angeles, California, and throughout the country. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you still pouring gallons and gallons of water into a thirsty lawn that never seems to get enough water? LADWP has a special offer for a free water-saving front yard refresh available to eligible LADWP residential customers. LADWP handles all the work, including lawn removal, installing an efficient irrigation system, and planting beautiful California-friendly plants. Save water and lower your bill with a free front yard refresh. See if you qualify at LADWP.com/LEAP. That's LADWP.com/LEAP.
Going to a World Cup match in LA this summer? Ditch the parking stress and ride Metro. With direct service from across LA County, it's the easy way to get there for just $1.75 each way.
Let's be real. For too long, too many of our students have sat in overcrowded classrooms in underfunded public schools.
But as head of the San Diego School Board, Richard Barrera changed that.
Under Barrera's leadership, student literacy rose from the state average all the way to #1 among major urban school districts. Barrera led the way for smaller classrooms and for teachers to be paid what they're worth.
Barrera funded more counselors and mental health services, and community schools that teach real-world skills for future jobs.
A community organizer who became an education leader to fight for our kids. The only candidate for State Superintendent of Public Instruction,
backed by the 310,000 classroom educators of the California Teachers Association. Vote Democrat Richard Barrera for State Superintendent.
Ad paid for by California Teachers Association Independent Expenditure Committee, not authorized by a candidate or committee controlled by a candidate.
Are you still pouring gallons and gallons of water into a thirsty lawn that never seems to get enough water? LADWP has a special offer for a free water-saving front yard refresh available to eligible LADWP residential customers. LADWP handles all the work, including lawn removal, installing an efficient irrigation system, and planting beautiful California-friendly plants. Save water and lower your bill with a free front yard refresh. See if you qualify at LADWP.com/LEAP. That's LADWP.com/LEAP.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. The midterm election campaign season is here now. The 2028 presidential election is right around the corner. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. It's all in for 2026 and 2028. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Success is picking up extra shifts for your family. Now you want to be the boss. Success is getting your foot in the door. Now you want to take the next step. Success looks different to everyone, and University of Maryland Global Campus can help you reach your goals. And there's never been a better time to get started on your future. No application fee if you apply by June 1st. As an accredited state university, UMGC has been transforming lives for over 75 years. With more than 135 undergraduate and graduate degrees and certificates, online and hybrid courses, personalized support, financial resources, and lifetime career services, achieving your dreams is more possible than ever before. Choose the program that's right for your career goals and get started on your next success. No application fee if you apply by June 1st. Learn more at umgc.edu. That's umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Shell.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show with our creator, Gina Towns, our very special guest, Dr. Wheatball, and his lovely granddaughter, Joya Melvin, a recent graduate of Hampton University, also in graduate school now. We're particularly proud of Gen Z and the insights that she's providing. Gina, I think we have a call on the live line.
We do. Hi, Kathy Rivera. Are you there? Kathy?
Okay.
Kathy Rivera, are you there?
Wow, we're ready.
I am.
Kathy, do you have a question of Dr. Wheatball and Joya Melvin?
Well, I'm sorry I don't have a question, but I just wanted you to know how much your show is enjoyed every day. I try not to miss it, and when I do, I'm able to go back and listen to some of your other broadcasts because I don't want to miss anything that you and your guests say because your topics are always on target. The intelligence of your guests and the doctorates and the masters that you bring to your table for discussion is always just the best. And I just wanted to tell you very quickly, I'm getting my nails done in a salon, and I had your broadcast on my cell phone. And I said to the ladies around me, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I've got it on too loud." And they went, No, don't. Who is that? And I said, "That's Jesse Jackson Jr. and his show and his guests." And you were talking about redistricting, and they wanted to know more. So I had to give them the link to your show, and so you've got a fan club at this end of the northwest suburbs. But so I just wanted to say thank you for everything that you're doing and all the intelligence that you bring on every topic. I feel like I'm in school, which is a good thing.
Kathy, thank you so very much for your call. Gina?
And before you go, Kathy, for your friends and for everyone who's listening, you can go back and listen to every show at YouTube, KBLA, YouTube, and the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on YouTube, as well as Facebook.
I'm really
great.
really excited about that.
Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you, Kathy, for your call. Joya, we try to end our show on a word of hope, and we ask our special guests to offer that word of hope. And because Dr. Wheatball normally delivers the final word of hope, I'm still going to give him the opportunity to do so. That's always the top of the hour in the last 3 minutes of our show. But given that you represent Generation Z, a completely different market for us, and a market that, according to Dr. Barbara Arnwine, who's a regular contributor on our program, when they led a march just a week, maybe 2 weeks ago in Alabama, she was so impressed by the number of people who showed up, literally thousands, specifically from your generation, who are activating in ways that some of us whose knees are a little tired and our feet is a little tired, but we are not discouraged because we're motivated by what you're doing. Can you offer for all of us a word of hope?
Yes, I would just like to thank you all for having me on with my grandfather, who has been such a pivotal figure in my life in terms of enhancing my education and at Spelman, now to Georgetown, and now even further. And he's just been a main inspiration in terms of being around me and lifting me up. I would say for Gen Z, we are here. I think technology, that's my domain expertise. I think we can definitely leverage it in a way that can enhance society with barriers and specific regulation that should be surrounded by that. I don't think it should deter us or put us further away. I think this should be an advancing thing for us going forward. And I think that we all know that we should all be going to the polls, specifically seeing everything that is going on. That is only really the thing that we have going forward. And be strong. You can get a job. The job market looks crazy. Eggs are crazy. Gas prices are crazy. But we've been going through it these last since we were born. Honestly, I think about that.
So can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is it different for your generation, though? I mean, the generation that's passing all these laws is not your generation or overturning these things. So is your generation a little more unified in like, what are you all doing and we can correct this?
I think seeing it in numbers and not even just the polarization that we're seeing in Congress and things like that. I think we know that there's a right side of history to be on. I think that being a principle, being there, having that is something that we know. I think upcoming in the years after everything that is going on, we're probably going to see this come back in our face. And I think we know that wherever you stand right now is where you're going to be remembered in history.
Dr. Wheatfall, Wisdom with Wheatfall, Joya, is what we called your grandfather's show when he made his first dozen appearances on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Now we're back to Wisdom with Dr. Wheatfall. Dr. Wheatfall, we're so grateful that you're well, that you're doing well, that you brought a member of your family, another generation. Dr. Wheatfall, we have about 3 minutes before we come forward. We have a national and an international audience. Dr. Wheatfall, a word of wisdom, a word of hope.
My thoughts are, as we look at the data, look at the numbers, look at the trends, and the level of our leadership, I must say that this may be, we're going to have to use this as a stimulus to revitalize our spiritual and our moral standing in the world. Our churches, especially our Black churches, we're going to have to come together and begin to, while we pray, we march. While we pray, we do something. We go to the polls. We encourage young folk to do the best that they can do, because we have, a crime in the Black community is unacceptable. We've got to push our political leaders to deal with the crime, and not the crime of creating crime, going and taking people and putting them in prison for nothing. I'm talking about Black on Black crime. We've got to connect that to doing something to increase the quality of life for our young folks, so that they'll have an opportunity to work hard and make sure that by working hard, they'll be able to overcome some of these barriers, because this thing is not going away easily. This is a long, drawn out 2025 plan. And sometimes I wonder, where are we going with this? And so I think spiritually and morally, we're going to have to come together, all of us, not just Blacks, as I indicated earlier, but all of us are going to come together on a moral level to manage our situation, because our people are suffering. Our people are suffering too much behind this situation.
I appreciate that very much, Dr. Wheatfall. Gina, I shared with many others, including when the Democratic Convention was here in Chicago and they honored my father, that my father initiated a rainbow coalition.
Yeah.
But we may be measuring people consistent with what Dr. Wheatfall said by painbow coalition. Beyond the race question is that which we are all struggling regardless of our race, our sex, our class. And we become the new majority if you're buying eggs and you're paying for milk and you're paying $5 a gallon. We become the new majority. and we have a right to take our government back. I'm so grateful, Dr. Wheatfall, for you and your grandfather joining us on Fat Meat Fridays.
Thank you. I appreciate you and continue the good work.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Gina. A great week of work and excited about our program. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward on Moving Mountain Mondays. I'll see you then.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.